Before we dive into the real psychology behind manifestation, if you've ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly create what they want while others struggle, hit subscribe, because today we're breaking down the brain science that. Okay, hey, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life, and today is Monday Mindset. So yesterday I was talking about this idea of serendipity, about coincidence, about how I don't think that it's coincidence at all. And I think actually that it's more about a choice to manifest a certain pathway or to step onto a certain pathway that's already been manifested. And I wanted to talk a little bit about manifestation and what it is, because I think that there's a lot of information out there about, you can just manifest your life. And it's like, you can just like wish list. I mean, in some ways it is kind of like a wish list, because once you realize how to do it, you can kind of like create anything. And I think, we as human beings, they say that we were made in God's image, right? Not that I believe in secular religion per se, but I definitely believe that there's something that created us. There's too much coincidences for it not to be the case, right? But they say we were made in God's image, and I don't think that means we're like righteous or all powerful, or I don't know, that we've got to be good and holy all the time, right? Because we're made in His image, we're not actually God. That would be different. We wouldn't be here, right? But I think we're made in His image in a lot of ways, in the way that we can have grace and compassion. But also I think we're made in His image as creative beings. And that it's really difficult to see that we can create in a third dimensional reality, because things feel so fixed and they feel so tangible. So people are like, well, I can't just manifest a house in front of me. That's not going to happen, because, this isn't some kind of like fantasy film blockbuster where that sort of stuff happens. But we are creative beings, and we do have the power to manipulate this reality to get the things that we want. So I think it's really important to think about what manifestation is. So manifestation is not just hoping and praying for something. It's not just crossing your fingers and hoping that this thing's going to come along just out of nowhere, right? It has to start with a belief, though. You have to believe truly that this thing is already yours, not, oh, I hope that I have it, because hoping is actually just the lack of something. You're saying, I hope that I have it because I know that I don't. Please give this to me because I know I don't have it right now. So it's this weird juxtaposition of like, I know I don't have it, but I also know that it's mine. I just don't know when, where, or how, but I know it's definitely mine because I feel it. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my gut, in my intuition, and I know it in my mind, right? Even if I don't necessarily see it right now. So there is a little bit of like delusion that you need to engage with in order to stay on that path, right? But it has to start of having a belief in something. And the thing is like, once you believe something to be true, your brain and your body do this crazy thing where, just like a homing beacon, it starts to move towards this thing, right? And you may try to veer it off path, but ultimately it will correct its path back towards the thing that you already believe is real. And the way that you do it is this, is your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and a really strong visualization. And that doesn't mean just seeing it in your mind. It's like experiencing the thing like as if you're there. Experience how you feel in that moment, what's happening around you, seeing it and feeling it really, really clearly. So your brain can't tell the difference. And we know this because there's been so many experiments, like the basketball team. I think they did an experiment where one set of basketball players practiced hoops for 2 weeks. One set of players did nothing, and one set of players visualized. And the set of players that visualized didn't touch a ball at all. They sunk more baskets than anybody else, because your brain thinks that it's already done it. And that's the point. It's like your visualization is so strong and your presence in that moment is so strong that your brain thinks, oh yeah, I remember doing this. I remember being here. So if I've already done it, it means that I know how to do it. So it naturally just starts setting a pathway towards that thing because it thinks you've already done it. So you already know how to get there because you got there before, right? So you have to have a belief, and that belief sets a pathway, but you also have to follow through, right? So through having that belief and having that vision and believing that you've already been there and believing that you already know the pathway there, you then take steps towards that thing. You don't just sit and wait for it to be manifested into your life by like chance, right? By coincidence. You create and you start taking steps on that pathway that you believe yourself to already know, right? The other thing as well is that your brain has no understanding about the difference between negative and positive. Your brain hears everything as a positive. So if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant with a red hat riding a tricycle on top of a ball, your brain is immediately gonna bring up that image in your head because it doesn't understand the don't bit. So when you're talking about manifestation, when you're talking about things that you want, you don't talk about what you don't want. So you don't say, oh, please, I don't want to be broke, because all it hears is be broke. Oh, you want to be broke? Okay, cool. Be broke, right? If you say things like, I don't want this person to come along, or I don't want to be in this situation. Your brain doesn't hear that. It just hears this situation, that person, and it brings you what you think about, what you ruminate on constantly. So you have to ruminate on what you want, and you have to ruminate on this thing that you believe that you already have, so that you know that that's what you have, and that's where you're heading, and that's what your brain wants, and everything then starts pushing towards that thing, right? And what happens is that doing all of this, I guess like on that more like mystical level, right? It's creating a feeling, it's creating a frequency that you can then tune into naturally to be able to take that action. So all of your choices, they begin to feel more natural, and they're just leading you in that direction. You begin to start hearing what it is that you need to do, where it is that you need to go, right? You start listening way more to your intuition. Because the thing is like, there are all paths, as I said in the previous video, there are all versions of reality, right? You could go left or you could go right. You could go straight forward at every single moment in time. And each of those paths are going to lead somewhere different. But once you're tuned in to that frequency, once you're tuned in to that feeling and to that pathway, then you're treading the path that takes you to the thing that you want to manifest, right? And it makes me think like that idea of there being all these different possibilities. There was something that I learned about in social work that's called the multigenerational process. And if you imagine like a genogram, yeah, so like a family tree, right, over hundreds of years. So you start off with these two people, and those two people marry some people, and then they have children, and then those children then marry some other people, and then they have children, and then those children have children, and those children have children, until you've got at the bottom from these two people, you've got like a whole massive array of different family members, right, who are all connected at the source. And I feel like that's what a pathway is like. And the thing that we learned about the multi-generational process is that one side and the other side will be completely polarized. They'll be completely different because, for example, this family, the first person in that family, they finished college or school or high school, right? And then their child finished high school, and then their child finished high school, and then their child went to college, and then their child went to college, and then so on and so forth. Like, so now they've gone down this road of like this route of like financial stability and financial affluence. So this side of the family is really financially affluent, whereas this side of the family, just because this guy, for whatever reason, didn't finish high school, then his child didn't, and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that these things are inevitable, right? I'm just trying to give you an idea of how these different pathways can create such a massive spectrum, such a wide spectrum of all different routes and all different possibilities. So what have I spoken about? I've spoken about manifestation, hearing the pathway, being on the pathway, aligning yourself to that thing, believing with some level of delusion that that's where you're going because things are going to happen, and things, the pathway is never going to be clear. It's never just a straightforward line from here to here. And sometimes it looks like you're veering away from that pathway, but you've got to believe actually that I'm still on the pathway, whatever goes on. So yeah, if you're interested in how you can tune into the pathway of the thing that you want to get so that you naturally start taking steps towards that thing, then join me on Thursday for Chrysalis Tools, because we're going to do a practice that's really going to help to support with that and open up that, open up that frequency, put you in that frequency, open up the, airways is the only word that I can think to describe it now, right? So that you can hear and so you can feel what step to take next. All right, cool. So for now, that is it. Before we dive into the real psychology behind manifestation, if you've ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly create what they want while others struggle, hit subscribe, because today we're breaking down the brain science that makes manifestation actually work.